What's going on, guys? Getting in the green. We've got UFC Fight Night, Holloway versus Rodriguez, man, and we get another look at Holloway. So this is definitely a step down from the last two amazing cards we've got to watch, top to bottom. But it's going to go out with a banger here at the top. So let's get this thing kicked off here. First fight of the night, we got Kennedy Nchekwu at plus 100 versus Da Un Jung at minus 120. How you feeling about this one?
It's a tough fight. I mean, I've gone back and forth quite a few times. I also want to just say I've gone against Nichukwe on probably his last three fights. I want to say, and he's kind of made me look stupid. So it's a tough one, but I am picking against him again. We got on DraftKings also before I get too far ahead. Jung, we're getting at 8,300. Nichukwe, we're getting at 7,900. So fairly close. DraftKings just like the line here. But I'm going with Jung here, and Jung's had kind of a weird stretch of fights. Really, really impressed me against William Knight. The way he grappled him and was able to take him down, and everybody knows William Knight's just a bowling ball of muscle. I was very impressed with the control, and I think if Jung implements anything close to the Knight fight, he should win this fight. He should be able to control against the cage, some clinch. I think if he can get this to the ground, he's going to really have success. At the flip side, Nichukwe is a big, strong, tough guy that just moves forward and gets people out of there. So close fight. I do think Jung is the more talented fighter. But again, we've seen Jung versus the fight before Knight was against Alvey, and it was one of his worst performances ever. He was a huge favorite, and I think he came out of that fight with a draw and looked really bad. So nothing would surprise me in this fight. I don't necessarily feel comfortable, betting this, but I'm going Jung. I don't hate the fight for DraftKings though. I think it's very affordable, right in that very mid-range 8,300, 7,800. I think that you could get Jung out of there on the one side, and I think if Jung controls him, especially gets him to the floor, he scored really well in that Night fight. He scored 112 points, and I feel like he's going to have a similar game plan. So I will be playing a decent amount of Jung here.
Yeah, I'm with you here. And again, not too much confidence, but I'm going to go Jung. And in that Night fight, the thing that really impressed me with his was his use of leverage. He was
Yeah.
constantly getting Knight off balance and kind of just leveraging um his size. And he was at a massive muscle disadvantage. So the fact that he was able to control Knight like that was very impressive. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I can't get behind the Shukwi, and I don't know why. I mean, he just doesn't even in his wins. Like, I think it's the two wins now here, or no, multiple. But the Olberg one was the first one that he really hit the radar. Had a big fight. Olberg completely gasses. He just empties the tank, has an adrenaline dump from his first UFC fight, and then gets knocked out in the second round. Marquez just sucked in that fight. Like, not that he's good normally, but like more than usual seemed like he sucked. And there was just no volume in that fight. I think Nchukwi scored like 50 points in his win. Yeah, I guess the guy just doesn't look skilled. He's just got a chin and he walks forward and he's huge. Those are his
Mm-hmm.
strengths right now in the UFC, and it's worked out for him. I think Jung is skilled enough to make him pay for his deficiencies, but I mean, who knows at this point? So, yeah, my pick is going to be Jung. I do like this on DraftKings. I think we're going to get a finish here either way. And yeah, at that price point, especially, we're down to 11 fights now, so there's going to be some fights that I wouldn't say are must plays, but you're going to end up getting on a lot of your cards, especially at this price point. So, not a high level pick here for me. No bet, definitely. And honestly, probably 60-40 Jung on DraftKings.
All right.
All right, next we got Mark Diakis at minus 220 versus Rafael Alves at plus 180. How you feeling?
Another good fight. think the line is maybe. Yeah, I guess the line's close to right. I just think it's a close fight. I think Takaze is a rightful favorite here, but I'm not overwhelmed that he's going to win this fight. Alves is a really explosive guy. You know, definitely can get people out of there. Shown flashes. Takaze has had, a couple losses in the UFC, but really, when you take a harder look at it, it's like he's lost to some really good fighters. He's lost to Fiziev in his most recent one. Hart pressed Hooker. These aren't bad losses. Even close isn't a bad loss, and he's beaten the guys he's supposed to beat. This fight just feels like a fight he's supposed to win. He's the more dynamic striker. I really think he's going to use his leg kicks. His calf kicks has won him several fights here. And I think he's going to use that. He's going to keep Alves at bay. And I think we're mostly going to get a striking affair here. And I have a little more faith in Takaze. Definitely not a sure thing. It's not even a bet for me. Yeah, and then DraftKings is a little tough. They're not huge scorers here. Takaze's at 8,700. You can get Alves at 7,500. Don't hate Alves at 7,500. Not that I'm going to play a lot of him if he got a finish or something like that. If he caught him, Takaze is the guy who I think is going to win. But even in some of these wins, like the highest win he's had in recent fights is 92, and you got to go all the way back to 2017 to see him get over 100 points in a win. He's got some that are 76. So I feel like there's going to be a similar fight where you're going to have a striking battle at range, a lot of calf kicks, not an incredible amount of volume, not a firefight, more of a technical display from Takaze. So I don't know if I'm going to play too much of this on DraftKings. I just could see it being a slower striking match that Takaze controls from distance. But he is my pick to win this fight.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you. I love his low leg kick, man. That thing is deadly. I feel like, yeah, I mean, you want to talk about strength of schedule. I mean, this guy's been through the fire as of
Yep.
recently. Alves, new to the scene, one UFC fight, coming off a nice contender series. I will say, like, if Alves can get this thing to the ground, his submission game is sneaky, man.
Yep.
He's he's got some legit ground game, and Dekaze, he was subbed by Hooker, which that's not a huge knock on your, on your ground game. Hooker's legit, but for me, like Alves is explosive on the feet, but I just don't see him getting it done with his hands. So if he takes the approach of grappling, gets it down, I could see him stealing a submission here, even winning minutes on the ground to get closer on that decision. But if this stays standing, I think Dekaze just chops that leg down and then starts to go to work. So my pick's going to be Dekaze. I'm with you though. I'm fading this one on DraftKings. But if you
Mm-hmm.
do think Alves can, get the finish, then that's not a bad spot to go there as a dog.
And I will just say, again, not that I'm encouraging this play, but we'll get to it eventually. But I think a lot of people here are going to be playing Max Holloway on DraftKings, not only because he's a big favorite, but because of the performances and the scores he puts in. So you're going to have to take some shots here. There's just not enough fights that to afford Max Holloway. You're going to have to get creative on DraftKings. So
Yeah, that guy's expensive. Was he like 9,500?
yeah, I think 94, 95. Let's see. He is, yeah, 9,500.
All right, next fight we've got Courtney Casey at minus 280, Liana Jojua at plus 230, and I didn't think I'd ever see Courtney Casey at a minus 280 in the UFC,
Yeah,
but here we are today. So I'll start this
yeah,
one
that's
off,
a.
and
Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's just a bad fight, man. Courtney Casey's coming off those two losses to Aldrich and Robertson after getting a sub win against Romero Barella. She looks like shit, man. Um, she got subbed by Robertson and then loses that split decision, which should have been unanimous for Aldridge. I don't even know. They classify her as like this striker, and her striking is just she just throws pitter patter out there. There's no pop. And when she does want to load up for a big shot, it's just telegraph, man. She loads the hips and like this lunging forward thing. I don't have that much good stuff to say about Courtney Casey. The problem is she's fighting a worse fighter, so the line might be accurate here. And Jojua coming off that KO against to Maverick, she was able to sub Belbita, and I actually think Belbita's a decent fighter, um, but was knocked out by Morris before that. She just doesn't have a chin, and I don't think she's going to be able to just win a grappling exchange with Courtney Casey. So yeah, Courtney Casey wins a striking match here at distance. I don't think Courtney Casey's going to knock her out, even though she's very chinny. Um, the Maverick one was a doctor stoppage because of that cut. She didn't actually get knocked out, but yeah, I don't know how you're feeling about this one, but I'm going Casey by decision striking, and I'm not touching this fight.
Yeah, this has. I mean, like you said, you have a Courtney Casey's overall record is 9-9. She's a minus 280 favorite in the UFC. So that should tell you a lot about this fight in general. It's a tough one. I have zero confidence in this. Courtney Casey's 8,800 on DraftKings. Jojua's 7,400. Like you said, I don't really, I don't love either one of their skill set. It's pretty simple for me too. I think Casey's going to be the better striker, throw more volume, rangier. If this stays standing, I like Casey to get a decision. I feel like that's the most likely scenario. Do you think Jojua could get her to the ground? She could grind out a decision. Not that she's incredible on the ground, but I think, sure, she could wrestle her, win a decision. So, very low confidence in this fight. I think I am going with the favorite in Casey. I just think she's going to be able to keep this standing. But, I mean, we're talking about a zero level of confidence from me. And DraftKings, I'm probably not playing much either way. But if I was, I think I'd play Jojua at 7,400 from what we talked about. You're going to have to get some dogs here. When I see the two paths to victory, which one do I think scores more in DraftKings? Probably the takedown heavy game. I think the control time would probably have a higher score. So if I'm playing one of them and I need to fill that underdog spot, I'd play there. But in general, I'm not excited about either of these fighters on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's move on. We got a good fight here. We got Sean Woodson at minus 330 versus Colin Anglin at plus 280. How you feeling here?
Really, really, really tough fight. First off, I'll say for both, I know we're in agreement here that we think the line is just off here. Um, we don't think Woodson should be anywhere near this big of a favorite. Style wise, let's talk the style of the fight. Woodson's a really, really big guy for this division, really tall, and he's a striker. He's just a really good striker at this division, and a lot of people have trouble dealing with his size, and I will give him credit. Like his takedown defense has looked pretty good, and it's one of those things. It's because of his length and his angles and his ability to get back up. So that's kind of what we're getting with Woodson. He's going to want to keep this fight standing. He's got improved takedown defense. Guy 6'2" for 145-pound division, pretty ridiculous. On the other side, Anglin, we have like a much more well-rounded fighter. The guy doesn't mind striking. I'm not going to say he has good striking. It's definitely not like the most technical striking. But the guy can throw hands, and is tough, stays in the pocket. And then he is a good grappler. He is kind of an underrated grappler here, and I think that's where the line goes off. I think if Anglin's smart, he can take this fight to the ground, or at least mix in takedowns. That's the thing. I don't think he needs to like grapple fuck him to win this fight. I think if he stole some takedowns here and there, made Woodson think about that, grinded on the fence, he can steal a decision here. And he doesn't necessarily need to fully succeed in his game plan. So much closer fight. I did tell Corey this where I was like, I'm picking Anglin, but I'm picking Anglin because of the line, and it looks like it'll make me smarter if he wins. If this fight was minus 105 to minus 105, 50-50 line, I might pick Woodson. I think his striking could win 2 rounds to 1 here. And I think he might be able to keep it standing. It's definitely not a super high confidence pick, but where the line is, how close I think this fight is, how much of a coin flip, going Anglin here. And I didn't even tell you guys DraftKings. I mean, this is like one of the best plays on DraftKings. Obviously, the guy's got to win to make this worth it, but from a value standpoint, Woodson's one of the biggest favorites on the card, 9,200. Anglin's all the way down at 7,000. So I'm telling you, I believe this is a coin flip fight, and one of them can get at 7,000. I'm going to be playing a lot of Anglin here. And even Woodson, I don't know if I'm going to play very much Woodson. Woodson has, 3 wins, 2 wins in the UFC, 3 fights. He scored his highest score so far has been 82. Zalal, which is a fight he arguably didn't win, was 61. And even in the Arosa fight, where he got subbed in the third, kind of gassed, he was on pace to only score 85 also, even if he was able to sneak out that decision. So, not a huge scorer. If I'm playing this fight, I'm playing just so much more like 95% Anglin, and maybe I'll get a Woodson or two on here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do have a little different take on the actual fight, though. So I'm going Anglin here as well. And we got to tape Anglin a lot back
Yep.
in July when he was fighting Bagdasarian. And the guy's a legit wrestler, man. His offensive wrestling is legit, and you really saw it in that Naimov fight at the Contender Series. Previous to that, in some of his regional scene, he was just knocking guys out that weren't his caliber. And then obviously we were on the Bagdasarian side of that fight, but he looked not out of this realm when he fought him on the feet. Like, he was landing some strikes, was engaging in the clinch, just couldn't actually drag him to the ground, and ultimately Bagdasarian's kicks to the body started to wear on him. But against Woodson, I think he has to wrestle. I know he wants to stand in the pocket sometimes, but I just feel like he's not going to knock Woodson out, and Woodson's going to win minutes at distance if they try to strike, through, large chunks of time here. So I like Anglin, but I'm really hoping that he dies on his shield if he needs to with this wrestling approach. Um, Sean Woodson, like when I saw his name, like I'm shocked this guy's 8-1. I know he's like extremely long and extremely tall for the division, but this guy's not that good of a fighter. He's got some, decent front kicks. His striking's okay, and his footwork's actually very good. But like Julian Erosa was like the same fighter, and Julian Erosa beat the shit out of him. Zalal, I don't know how I went back and forth on how I even scored that fight. Ultimately, I think Woodson got the win, but yeah, I'm on Anglin here, but I don't think he should try and exchange at all with Woodson. I think this needs to be up against the fence and to the ground. And hopefully, I mean, I know it's harder to get those long guys down, but I actually think that Anglin's like if he takes like a double leg approach to these takedowns, I think he will be able to get Woodson to the ground. So DraftKings, yeah, obviously $7,000 fighter. We're gonna load up on him. I don't see any need to play Woodson. I don't think he gets a finish, and at that price point, I want no part of it. But I'm probably gonna put Anglin on. God, probably like 70% of my cards, and then just fade this fight for the other 30%.
Yep.
All right, next up we got Cynthia Calvillo at -135 versus Andrea Lee at +115. How you feeling?
Feel pretty good about Calvillo here. So DraftKings pretty close, 8,200 to 8,000 for Lee. Um, yeah, Lee has paths to victories here. I definitely think if this stays standing at range, could she kind of make this look like the Chuchigian fight, which was a close fight anyways? Yeah, sure, I can see that, but I just don't know. I just see Calvillo getting her grappling involved, mixing it up, getting the wrestling game in, and I don't want to say like a comfortable decision. I don't have a high level of confidence. But it's like I think she wins this decision more times than not because of how she can mix up her game, get a few takedowns. I feel like maybe people are kind of low on her coming off the Chichigan fight was extremely close. People had it both ways, and then you had Andrade who just kind of crushed her, and people kind of have her very low right now. But a lot of people thought she had a chance in that Andrade fight, and she's one of the upper fighters in this division. And I don't know. I think she gets back on track here, and I think it has to do with her well-roundedness. That's what I'm picking there.
Yeah, I'm with you with Calvia here. And yeah, she got starched by Andrade that night, but Andrade looked next level. So I'm not knocking her there. The Chikagian fight, yeah, very close. I actually scored it for her. But, on the other side of things, on Andrea Lee is just underwhelming. You know, Calderwood, Murphy, Modafferi, like, she didn't get dominated in any of these fights. But she was underwhelming. There was just nothing that stood out like, oh man, she's really good at this. She makes dumb decisions at times. Her fighter IQ is terrible. She's not that skilled. And yeah, I think Calvia gets her to the ground. Um, Also at this price point, man, I think DraftKings is in play for even how shitty of a fight this is. But
Yeah,
because they're so cheap, I think you
yeah,
kind of got to go there.
and they don't score horrible. They're not. They're not great scores, but they're not horrible either if they win. So you're getting 8,200 and 8,000. Calvillo is obviously a favorite here at 8,200. Lee at 8,000. Yeah, you have an argument for either one. I don't disagree with you. I'd play more Calvillo, especially with the wrestling heavy game plan, but they are affordable.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Calvia, and I think she can get a sub here. I think Andrea Lee's um, just not good enough to stop her if it does get to the ground.
You
So
know what I will say also, because we haven't even had a recommendation of a bet. I'm not going super heavy. I don't hate the line here though. Minus 135. I would take Calvillo straight up in a bet here.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a good line. I don't know if I'm like the most confident here, but honestly, yeah, of these first five fights, this is probably the best read I have on one. So yeah, I don't mind that Calvillo at minus 135 there. I'm gonna be honest, guys. This is you're not gonna get a lot of bet recommendations out of me on this card. This is just it's a tough card. We're gonna try. I'm gonna be on DraftKings a little more than I am betting this week, and it's kind of been the opposite the last 2 weeks. We've been crushing bets, and DraftKings has been okay. But this card, yeah, man, there's no fight that I'm like, oh, I'm laying the juice here. It's just one of those, yeah, 50-50 cards. A lot of these fights, even if some of the lines are wide. So no big bets here for me tonight, but let's move on here. And of the fights, though, I do have the most confidence in this next one here. We have Thiago Moises at minus 260 versus Joel Alvarez at plus 210. And I love Moises here, man.
Mhm.
I think the guy's a stud still. Hopefully there's some recency bias off that Machaev fight, and that was a main event, so it was a 5 rounder. And he didn't do anything impressive, but survived 4 rounds. But I mean, Makhachev, we know is that guy's on a different level. Probably going to be a champ here very soon. Outside of that, though, Hernandez, Green, Johnson. I mean, he looked good in those fights, man. He's got good striking. His kicks are impressive. And he just seems to be like a very, very well rounded fighter, man.
Yep.
Joel Alvarez, on the other hand, I'm not like, this isn't a knock on Joel Alvarez. I think this guy is legit. But, I mean, he sub Duffy, sub Yakovlev. Before that, he KO'd Beluardo. I just, I do think his jiu-jitsu is legit. I just don't think he's good enough to sub Moises here. And I think that would be his only path to victory. Yeah, man, I think Moises is just better. I think there's levels to this stuff, and yep. I guess Alvarez is dangerous, man. He's proven it in the UFC so far. 3 finishes in a row here, but he did lose that decision to Ismagulov. Thiago Moises is on a different level, man. I'm going Moises here pretty confidently. Um, DraftKings, yeah, probably gonna play some Moises, but not. It's not a must play for me though.
Yeah, I like Moises here a lot. They're, I mean, Moises is just a farther developed version of Alvarez, if we really want to break it down. You know, Alvarez is a guy that can, like you said, got finishes, has legit ground game. I don't even think he has better jiu-jitsu than Moises straight up, let alone Moises being able to survive. Moises don't be, this is, again, recency bias for how good Makhachev is on the ground, that he got the sub. But Moises is one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the division. I don't see that being a factor whatsoever. I also think Moises probably has better takedowns or just is a more physical person if he wants to. And then standing, the guy's just drastically improved his striking. The guy, outstruck, looked great in Alex Hernandez fight, the one before the Makhachev fight, and that was the best his striking's looked ever. And Hernandez is knocking people out too, so looked
Mhm.
great there. The Bobby Green fight, whether you agree with the decision or not, he that was a striking match again. We just saw what Bobby Green capable of this past weekend. So his striking's way better than Alvarez, in my opinion, and I do think he's just better everywhere. He's a level up from Alvarez, but actually very similar style, I would say, which is just makes it a tough night for Alvarez. I do like this fight. I like this bet. He's about a minus 255. I think that's a very fair line for Moises and his experience difference here, and that he's improving. He's only 26. He's improving fight to fight. I think he's gonna. I think we're gonna get a way better version coming off a loss like that. Um, so yeah, I feel very comfortable with Moises. DraftKings, I'm not as high on him. He's at 9,000. Alvarez is at 7,200. Moises just put in some weird wins here. Like his last three wins, he scored 70, 60, and 51. So he can be in slow fights. It's not like he's never had a good one. He scored 100 in a win. At 9,000, I'm going to not be playing too much. I'm not going to play much of Alvarez, if at all. I just really don't see him winning this fight at 7,200. Moises, I will fade in a lot. I'm not saying I don't want him in any of my lineups because I do think it's a good matchup for him. I think he could score here. Just his history of maybe some inactivity from a volume standpoint makes me not love it at his price point. If he was at 8,400, I'd be much more on this. It's just it really shifts your lineup if you pay for another 9,000 fighter up there. So I'm probably not playing as much. Maybe he's going to be in like 20%, 15% of my lineups, 15, 20%.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on here to the main card, and we're going to start off here. Very good fight here. Song Yadong at minus 135 versus Julio Arce at plus 115. And this is a good fight, man. I'm going to start on the Julio Arce side of things. We bet this guy pretty big in his last fight, and he was able to KO Andre Ewell in the second round. Before that, he had lost that split decision to Dawudo, KO Julian Erosa, another split decision and a sub there before that. The guy's legit, man. Great hands, technical striker, man, and he packs a punch too. So, ground game's legit. He doesn't tend to take it there though too often. I know he's got that submission win, but that's not really his mo. He wants to get into a striking match with you, and Yadong's going to be more than game to welcome that style of fight. So Song Yadong, on the other hand, just won a very very close fight with Chase Kenny. Lost to Phillips before that, beat Vera, draw with Stamen, and the KO over Perez. I'm picking Yadong here kind of for the same reasons I picked Arce over Ewell. Is I think this is a striking match. I think Yadong's faster, probably the better boxer, and I don't. Julio Arce is not going to take this thing to the ground. So if we're just going to stand there, I'm going to go with the speed. I think this fight's a decision. I don't think either of these guys are going to get each other out of there. They both seem to have good chins. They're game for a firefight though. I'm gonna go Yadong. He might score decent on DraftKings. I think there's gonna be some volume in this fight. So, how you feeling here?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've gone back and forth. I will say right off the bat, kind of like the Nichukwe fight, Yudong is a guy that I always find myself picking against. Not no disrespect. I actually think he's a really good fighter, but like his last three fights, I picked his opponent. I've gone 1-2 in those picks. I picked Cheeto Vera. I picked Phillips, who did get the victory there, and I picked Kenny, and I was confident in Kenny. And I've heard some other, analysts kind of say this, and I just want to highlight. I really agree with them. A really strong point I've heard is like the general media, felt like Yudong had kind of reached his peak. Kind of, we know what we're going to get out of this guy. He's really talented, but this is like the level he's getting to. I feel like he's kind of proved us wrong. He's still improving, and that Casey fight was like the best he's looked, and he really looked like he leveled up, was smart, looks faster than ever. We know he's got massive power. We know he's actually got good wrestling base. You know, guy's still improving. So I think I am going to take Yidong in this fight. And again, I think it's speed, and I think it's got a good team. I think he's gonna be smart with this. But at the flip side, Arce is a guy who I did pick in his last fight, but he was coming off a really long layoff. He had fought in November 2019. This was July 2021. We hadn't seen him in a while. He was coming off a loss. He came out and he looked spectacular. His striking looks better than I've ever seen it. Mixing up leg kicks, just looked like an awesome Muay Thai practitioner. Like mixing up the leg kicks, big punches, looked great. So this is a weird fight where I'm like, I don't know what we're going to get, because I feel both of these guys are improving from the last time we saw them, and it wouldn't surprise me either way. I do think Yidong has enough tools to get the victory here. I do. I think he's got a couple more tools in the toolbox, and he's a little bit faster. But I think I would even venture. I think Arce is probably the more technical striker from just technique. I do think he might be. I think Yudong's quicker. Power actually is pretty even. I think these guys both pack a serious punch for the division. Yeah, it's a really close fight, a really fun fight. This fight and the next fight, which we're about to talk about, are definitely the best two fights on the card, other than the main event. Holloway's always a show. But other than that, these are the two fights I'm way most excited for. I don't have a great read on it. I will go Yudong. I've always picked against this guy. I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt here. I think his speed's going to get it done. A very close fight. I love this fight on DraftKings, though. I think we're going to get a really good, scrappy fight that's going to have people are going to have to dig down deep to win this fight. So, Arce, you're getting at 7,800, Yudong at 8,400. I'm going to be close to 50-50 on this fight, and I am going to play a lot of it. I really like this fight. I really like the price point, and I think these guys are going to bring out the best in each other and push the pace, and we're going to have a war. So maybe I'll play a little more Yudong because I am picking him straight up. But they're pretty similar price. I'm going to play a lot of both of them.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And yeah, I think we got a firefight on our hands, man. And these guys are both game, so this is gonna be an exciting one to kick off the main event for us. The next fight is Miguel Beza at -150 versus Chaos Williams plus 125. What are you thinking here?
All right, so I know we're picking differently on this one, but this one is like I'm going to give my spiel first of just when the fight first got announced, and especially I saw the DraftKings line where we're getting Beza's at 8,500, Chaos Williams all the way down at 7,700. Right off the bat, I was like, I like this matchup for Chaos Williams. That was just right off the bat. Then we watched some tape, and I shifted a little bit, and I've seen a lot of. I would say probably the media in general, the analysts are probably like 85-15 on Beza in this fight, and I don't think they're wrong. When I watched the tape, basically, I do think Beza is the better fighter. I think he's the more technical striker. I think his leg kicks are brutal. He's got really nice leg kicks. The way he strikes, the way he sets up his strikes are better. They're more technical. and his ground game's better. It's if he could get on top of Chaos Williams, and I was confident in that, I would pick Beza all day because I think Beza could actually sub him or control him. I think his ground game's on a completely different level. The problem is, and it makes me go back to Williams, is I don't think he's getting the fight to the ground. Williams is actually a solid wrestler. He's just a big, strong guy. He has a solid base. I don't see he's not an easy guy to take down. Even though, sure, if he got on top of him, mounted him, got his back, do I think he'd finish him? Probably. I don't see that position coming up in this fight. I think we're going to have a striking match. And then the only knock I have on Beza is the guy like almost likes to fight too much. Like he's a guy that's in these awesome battles, and in his last fight, I just can't shake. And I'm not even dissing. Poncibo is a great fighter, but it was like Beza was in complete control in round one, and just got into a firefight with a guy who punches hard, and he took some massive shots. He showed he had a chin. He hasn't been finished, but man, he took some shots. And then back 2 fights ago, Matt Brown. I mean, Matt Brown, and this is no insult to Matt Brown, he's a tough guy, but it's like Matt Brown's at kind of the end of his career. He's never really known as this amazing striker. It's like he dropped Beza like 2 or 3 times in this awesome back and forth war. And I just think it's in Beza's nature. He can't help himself. He's a super exciting fighter, but we're gonna get into a war here. I just don't think Chaos Williams is the guy you want to do that with. He has that for the division. He has that Derek Lewis type of Ngannou power. And I will say, like, I think he gets disrespected a little bit too much on his technique because it's not a traditional striking technique. He does flurry, he does kind of counter, and it's awkward. It's not the most efficient striking, but it is effective. It's not like, oh, he looks like shit and then he lands a knockout punch. It's like his weird, unorthodox technique is effective, though. It is. I think the striking's closer than we think, and I'm giving a big power advantage to Williams. So, long story short, on paper, I think, Williams is probably at some disadvantages here, and I think that Beza's the better fighter on paper, probably the safer pick. But I'm going with the underdog. There's a gut feeling. I think he can win a decision and a war here. I also think a knockout in the first 60 seconds is live for Chaos. So going Chaos Williams, I'm going with the underdog at plus 125 here. I'm not actually betting the fight, but DraftKings, I will play this fight on 100% of my cards. 100%.
Yeah.
And it's because I know Chaos has been in some slow fights, but I don't think Beza's that guy. Beza will push this fight, and whether he wins or whether Chaos gets him, I do not see this being a slow fight, and I'll be playing this. And they're at a very affordable price. We're getting, again, like I said, $7,700 for Williams, $8,500 for Beza. So,
Yeah, I'm on the Beza side here, and not that I don't see Chaos Williams path to victory. I'm not sure Chaos could win a decision here. I think he definitely is live for a knockout, though. I think Beza's got more path to victory, and you kind of touched on it. If he gets on top, man, he could definitely sub him. I think he's a more technical striker. He is dumb, though. I mean, he does get himself into just god-awful positions sometimes for no reason. And it cost him in that Ponzibio fight, and I'm hoping that was kind of that check he needed. Because sometimes when you're undefeated, man, you just feel like, who cares? I can't lose. Like, let's get into this firefight and let's do it. And then kind of you finally take that loss and you're like, all right, let me actually figure out how to fight a little smart. And he's fighting over at MMA Masters. I hope they've worked on his fighter IQ. But, some of these guys, though, man, at the end of the day, they're a fighter. And they want to go to war. So I'm going Beza here. This is a must play on DraftKings. Either way, don't care. We're going to have violence in this fight. And yeah, I think we get a finish either way, man. I think Beza, if this goes even to the second, third round, I think he can get Chaos Williams out of there as well. But we're going to have both these guys are just physical specimens, man. These guys are jacked. And yeah, man. I hate betting against Chaos Williams, man, because the guy just gets it done night in, night out. But I'm gonna stick with Beza here. Like I said, I think more paths to victory, but either way, though, this is a must play for DraftKings. Up next, we got Felicia Spencer minus 310 versus Letson at plus 250. And I am pretty confident here that Spencer gets this done. Um, she's coming off two losses, but she's coming off two losses to, Dumont and Nunez. So I'm not going to hold those against her. Before that, she got a KO versus Verne. She lost a decision to Cyborg. I mean, she's just fought the best of the best in her division. But she's got some serious power. Her jiu-jitsu is legit. Um, and you got a newcomer in Letson here, and her regional tape was okay. And then you finally see she fights a fighter that we know, and she A's on, and she gets KO'd immediately. In the Ultimate Fighter, it was a split decision. That was a good fight against Stolarenko. But for me, man, I just don't know. Now that I'm talking my way through it, man, I mean, Spencer might just be the bet of the night. There's just, you're not going in against some unseasoned fighter. You're going up against Felicia Spencer in your debut. Spencer might just run through Letson. She's not going to win a striking match with her, and she definitely can't hold her own on the ground. So this could be one-way traffic here for Spencer. Let me know if I'm missing something here on this one.
I'm actually probably more extreme than you are here. Like I don't really need to be thinking about it. I think this is one way traffic. I think Felicia Spencer's first off, even like Spencer's losses, when you look at it, not only is she facing tough competition, but it's like the Dumont fight was very close. It's not like she got blown out there. Then, like you pointed out, it's Nunez and Cyborg, literally the two greatest women fighter pretty much ever, other than Shevchenko, and she made it to decision. Didn't look completely out of her base there. Was showed extreme toughness. This is not those matchups at all. This is she's smart. She's going to come in here. She's going to take her down in round one. And I could see a round one sub, or we're going to get a freaking ground and pound in a round two sub. Either way, great for DraftKings, great for betting. I have no problem betting Felicia Spencer. I think the line's still generous for bettors here. She's a great parlay piece, especially maybe with a Moses or someone else that you like on this card. I don't mind her at minus 3.5 either. Let me see what we can get here on Spencer. Because I do believe she's either 30.7 her or I think she's going to get the sub, to be honest, but I think that the handicap is a little safer. And where is she at? Let's see if they even have the line up for that. Yeah, so they don't have the handicap up for her. So if that comes up here soon, I'm expecting, at a minus 300 fighter, you can usually get that around minus 180, minus 200. I'd jump on that if it pops up before the fight starts. DraftKings, I really like Spencer because I do think she's going to get the sub. She's expensive, 9,100 versus Letson 7,100. You're going to have to. It's going to be tough, especially with Holloway, like I said, because I'm going to be playing a lot of Holloway. But if you can get her in there, she's probably my second favorite fighter that's expensive on this card because of her almost guaranteed victory. On top of, I like the style to score points, so I like her a lot on DraftKings.
All right. Next up, we got Ben Rothwell minus 170 versus Rogerio de Lima at plus 145, and this is the co-main event. Man, to me, this is just gonna be an ugly, ugly fight. I'm picking Rothwell here. I'll start off with that, but we got two heavyweights here that are gonna, throw bombs. Rothwell, beat Barnett, subbed him, and lost to Tybura before that, where he was just completely wrestle fucked. And he won that St. Pruitt's decision. Struve, he KO'd. Ben Rothwell is just not great anywhere, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm picking Rothwell, and now I'm trying to figure out why. I think he wins a striking match here. I don't think DeLima has the offensive wrestling to put him on his heels. And I think this thing stands, and somebody's going to win a low volume decision here. DeLima, on the other hand, also a striker, also fat, has been subbed, but has some KO power in his head. I don't know, man. I'm upset this is the co-main event. We've got those two other fights way down there on the main card. Like,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, I'm gonna go Rothwell, low volume decision, and I won't be touching this thing on DraftKings.
All right, so on the other side, and I will come out and say, like, low confidence here. This is another pick I'm taking where I'm like, I'm going to look smart if this one's right because I feel like 90%, maybe even more, 99%
Excuse me.
of analysts that I've seen picking Rothwell, and they're picking him confidently. And my read on this fight was, man, this is a really close fight. Like, again, like Corey said, it's not something I'm excited from. It's not a high level fight. I'm like, I think this fight's pretty damn close on paper.
It's
And
closer
the
than
more
that
I,
minus 170 for sure.
yeah, I think it's a coin flip. And that's where I'm going with DeLima here, where, like you said, the guy, ultimately, they're both strikers. Rothwell is a bigger guy. He's a big guy, just in general for heavyweight, which is one of his biggest advantages. Big, big guy. Um, I could see Rothwell taking this thing to decision and just throwing a little bit more volume. Sure, he could win the decision. I just think Lima might be a better striker, like not just power. Because I've seen so many people write up, "Oh, I don't think he can knock out Rothwell, so it's over." I'm like, well, I'm not saying it's going to be
Why not?
entertaining. I'm not saying he's going to score, but A, he could knock him out, and B, I don't know if he has to knock him out. He could win the striking. Just Rothwell's not an amazing striker. Rothwell's kind of a overwhelm you striker, but he's not an amazing striker. So I could see that. I kind of agree with you. I could see him get it to the ground, but I don't necessarily think that's a guaranteed at all. And I don't even think he'd be safe there. Rothwell could definitely grab a neck, especially if he's going in for a sloppy takedown. So yeah, we're gonna get a sloppy striking match. I just think Lima might be a little bit crisper, and Rothwell's been fighting for a long time. He's old. I know he's beating the guys he's supposed to beat now, but yeah, this is one of those with zero confidence of just like, I think this is a straight coin flip, and I like Delima a little more. And the media is just so heavy on Rothwell in this fight that I'm taking Delima here. Maybe I look stupid and he gets blown out, but I'm taking Delima. And generally, I'm fading this fight, but I will say, like, I'm not against playing Delima at 7,600. I think his path to victory would score more points than Rothwell's victories because we've seen a lot of Rothwell's victories, and it's boring if he's in control. We'll know right away. Definitely not a must play, but I will play some Delimas because I'm going to need a couple underdogs anyways. If I think he can win this, if I think he can get the KO, and if he can get on top like he did against Green, where he just surprisingly just chose to grapple, he actually scored pretty well. So not a must play by any means, but I'm not 100% fading this fight either. I'll play some Delima.
All right. Main event time, man. And we've got Max Holloway at minus 650 versus Yair Rodriguez plus 475. And I'm going to let you kick this one off because I know Max Holloway is your boy.
Yeah, Max is one of my favorite guys. I also want to point out on certain sites here, especially like DraftKings, one of the most popular, it's all the way up to minus 800. Just madness. So, right off the bat, I'm going to go out and say the line's outrageous. This line opened at minus 300. And I think that's like semi accurate. Like, I would have probably bet that line early, and I probably would have bet him up to like minus 400. You know what I mean? Where, okay, I'm going to get some value there. That is more than doubled is ludicrous to me. Who's betting this line still? I mean, I'm taking Holloway, and I'm taking Holloway confidently, and it's because of Holloway's. It's really because of the intangibles. A, Max Holloway is one of my favorite fighters. B, the guy's got championship mentality, absolute championship mentality. He's a fighter's fighter. He adapts. He learns. He's getting better still, even as after he's lost the belt. He looks like he's better than during his title run. He's getting better and better. His chin is granite, absolute granite, and his heart's even better. So these are the intangibles that I'm like, yeah, Holloway is going to win this fight. But on paper, closer fight than people think here. I've seen a lot of people talk about Yari Rodriguez's big wrestling deficiency, which he has one, and that will be exposed at the top levels of wrestlers. And I do think Holloway has a pretty. We haven't seen it in a long time. But Holloway subs people. Holloway has sneaky ground game. I just don't see him using it here. He's so in the zone. He's so fighter. This is gonna be a standing fight, so I kind of take the ground game out of here. Maybe if Holloway was completely rocked, could he go for a takedown? Sure. I don't see him shooting for a takedown in the fight. So you get a striking match, and in a striking match, I mean Rodriguez is one of the best strikers at featherweight. He's really dynamic. He's got amazing kicks. He's got really good range. He does have flash knockout power in what he does. It's a dangerous fight. Ultimately, I think on the flip side, if you didn't have a dominant wrestler, like the Frankie Edgar beatdown of Yari Rodriguez, if you didn't have a dominant wrestler, what's the hardest striking style for Rodriguez? It'd be a guy like Holloway, a tall, long guy who's going to put the pressure on you, who's not going to wilt. You're not going to scare him with your power. You're not going to get respect out of him. He will keep running you down, and he's going to break you with pressure. So I am going Max Holloway here, but I really do think this is either going to be complete one-way traffic that we're going to know immediately, or we're going to get in a really fun, competitive kickboxing match that I still think Holloway wins, but it's going to be everyone's going to be like, man, this is an awesome back-and-forth striking match. And I just can't shake, Korean Zombie was 1 second away from getting a decision from Rodriguez, and I just think Holloway is a far superior striker than what the Korean Zombie was doing, but has a similar boxing heavy style. So, yeah, I'm picking Holloway. I do think the line is ludicrous. However, on DraftKings, I'm playing Holloway on, I want to say 99% of my lineups. I think I played Rodriguez in one lineup, but other than that, I played the 9,500. I mean, this is a guy who's coming off maybe the best DraftKings performance ever in Qatar,
yeah,
where he didn't land a single takedown. This was just pure strikes. He didn't even have any control time. He had 20 seconds control time, and he scored 209 fantasy points. So
in a decision.
the volume's insane. Even in the let's not go crazy. Holloway's going to score over 100. He's going to score well over 100 when he wins. He's a must play for me, a no-brainer here. And I did play one Rodriguez just in case he gets that flash knockout.
Yeah, I mean Holloway's the pick here. I'm with you. I'm playing him, nearly 100%. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm gonna throw away the $18 on a Yair Rodriguez card. If he gets the flash KO, then so be it. I'll try again next week. Max Holloway's pressure, man. Yair Rodriguez likes to reset a lot. That's just his style. He strikes, he steps back, he likes to gain his composure, then he'll, come at you again. Max Holloway's not giving you that opportunity, man. He's going to be in your face from the opening bell to the end bell of every round. His gas tank is, second to none, man. He's coming this entire 25 minutes for you. So I'm really hoping Yair Rodriguez is tough enough to survive. And we can just rack up strikes here. But I got no problem with the 9,500 price tag on DraftKings. I'm with you, though. I wouldn't play minus 800 on Holloway by any means. Yair Rodriguez is dangerous with the hands. Had a good war with Stevens there recently. And the guy's 14-2. He's a legitimate fighter. And if he could knock off a Max Holloway, that would really catapult him. But I just don't see him getting it done today, man. I think Max Holloway's the better fighter. The pressure just wears on him. I don't think Holloway gets him out of there. I think if he did, it would be in the 4th or 5th round. But I'm going to go Holloway by decision, but I think it could easily be a 50-45. Yeah. I don't even think the handicap's a bet here. I don't think you're going to get any better juice. So, main event, man, this is going to be a fun one. Anytime we get to watch Max Holloway, it's a treat. So, that's going to sum it up, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll be back for you guys next week.